Now that I've done my practice and I have a sense of what I want to do for my final, I'm going to go ahead and start on the final paper. Now, I like this idea, but I actually really like this paintbrush right here. So I'm going to combine these two things. So your final sketch may look, I wouldn't say completely different from everything else, but it might look different, and that is fine. So I am going to use my thickest paper that I have in my kit. You'll know you also have that computer paper, but it's smaller and thinner, so the Sharpie's going to bleed through it. So pick out the largest paper you have, and then if I look and see, if I were to draw my name the same way, the same size, it's going to end up being too small, and I'll have to deal with more of the background. So the first thing that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to lightly draw a circle kind of around my name, and I can see how close is it to the edges. I'm going to try and get that circle in the center very, very lightly. So I know my name needs to fit inside of this space. If you drew your name so it was really straight or on that straight line, this is where you're folded in half. Fake ruler is going to come in handy, or of course a real ruler is fine too. Actually, that would obviously be better. I'm going to fold a piece of paper in half, and then I can use that as a straight line. Some of you didn't really do straight lines, and maybe you want to, as far as like having all your letters line up, or maybe it's just not part of your style, and that's of course fine. But I would recommend for many of you having some sort of ending point, so bottom of your letters, some sort of top of your letters. Doesn't hurt and typically helps. So I know my letters are going to sit inside that space. Then I can look at my practices and I can see, all right, so I drew the M, had like a kind of a curve to it. I'm going to use the same style that I did before, so nothing's really changing because I like how I did it. I had things overlap. So before I keep going, I just want to make sure, okay, that looks good, it all fits, and I can now start doing the design around each letter. Same way as before. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase all of my lines that I do not need or want. So from here, I'll add my serifs again. And anything that I might have accidentally erased, I can change. Or if there's any smaller changes I want to make now, I can do that too. It's not going to be exactly the same, and that is okay. From here, I'll start drawing my designs. So that one had come across. As I work, I'm going to erase so I can tell what's going on. So I've got all of my designs. I've also still got to do my shadows for my letters. Oh, that's right, and I said I was going to add a paintbrush there. So I'm going to look at this one now, and some of it's going to go off the paper, and that is a good thing. Now it might take you a couple tries to do things. That is normal. Remember, I've had a couple years, several years to be practicing. And I've got do a paint drip here. I might notice with this larger space, I'm gonna have more area to fill in, so I might just need to draw a bit larger or move some designs around. You can, of course, trace shapes. Forgot my big blob right here. There we go. Play around again with the sizes of your shapes, and that'll help give you a sense of depth, so things being further away and closer. And also, the more you cluster near your letters, the more it'll draw attention to your design. So the only thing I'm missing right now are my shadows on my letters. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in pencil. That just gives me a chance to make corrections as I might want to. Once my sketch is ready, you're going to decide, do you want to Sharpie things first or do you want to work in color first? Personally, I like to begin tracing with the Sharpie and then filling it in with color, but you can decide. So I'm gonna rest my palm on the paper, rest the Sharpie on the paper so I can get nice smooth lines. So I just keep working until the whole image is completed. You'll want to check your work against the rubric that is attached to our Google Classroom. Now once you have things traced, if that's where you're starting, and I'm realizing the reason why I like to trace things first is that way I can erase, and when I add colored pencil it won't get mixed in with the regular pencil, which can sometimes make your colored pencil look more gray. You do need areas of layering and blending. Again, you want to check out the rubric. You can see where if you don't press too hard, you can erase colored pencil. Switching up my hand angles to fill in spaces. This is the cross-hatching technique. And then if you recall, Miss Arcus showed you the scumbling. I'm going to add some more pressure in the areas I want it to look like their shadow. And I'm going to start using some other blues. I don't know if you're seeing that, but my hand does start to cramp up. So I just kind of switch out how I hold it. This also helps as I go into different areas. Or this could be where you, I don't know if you see that, but I'm changing and using that scumbling technique. And then in the smaller areas, I'm using the cross-hatching so I can get a little more control. But the scumbling is good for filling in those larger areas. So you definitely will have needed to show me your designs before you start the final. That way I can give you suggestions about what is working and what needs to be changed, or maybe you just need to explain what's going on before you spend time and effort creating your final image.